What's happening, APLers? Here with the week 4 review. Better late than never. Week 4 review. So today we're going to go through the matchups that happened in week 4, which everybody knows about, but highlight a few things there, and then going to go through some power rankings after 4 weeks. So we're through 4 of 14 weeks of the regular season. So time to maybe look at some stuff and see what we got going on. So first matchup of the week was today versus Ryan. As you can see here, there's Mr. Puka Nakua, who comes up with the big game-winning touchdown for the Rams this week. So after scoring 1,600 points last week, Ryan definitely is the opposite of a winner this week. Puts up 714. Screen here. It's a rough game out of Kirk. Henry does some stuff. That's way better than his 20 points last week. But he and Laporta were kind of the only guys that showed up. Olave, Debo, 11 points total. I don't know, maybe they spent the night before with that freak bitch Paula, but I don't know. Something was off on their game on Sunday to only get 11 points. Matt Gay came up with 250 points last week, -5 this week. So, Ryan comes out with a 714. Disappointing week, but probably a bump in the road there. Today survives an off week from Justin Herbert, 257 there for Herbert. He usually has more, but they really didn't need to do anything because they were ahead the whole game and ran a lot. Those Rams dudes, so there's nice pickups there in week 1. Kyron Williams and Puka Nakua really going to get you and hit you with that magic. 192 and 170. Those are big games from those guys that were undrafted. Gets enough out of Madison and Kirk to put up 1153 for the week. So another solid point total from Sade, and Sade moves to 3-1. Ryan drops to 3-1. So if I were describing today's performance for the week, I would say y'all got Mo murdered all day. So I'll move to the next matchup here, which is Daggy versus Jake. Maybe I'll move there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I thought today won by 48, but he won by 439. Kind of a lot. So there's the man, Jake's team, Mr. CMC. He comes through with a big game again, 264. He's looking like the same old pimp that he always is. He really is kind of the bright spot on Jake's team there. You can see a whole bunch of bad stuff. Higgins with 21, Pittman with 18, Javonte got hurt with 12. Dak had a decent game against the Patriots for 308. Probably hoping for more from the quarterback spot than that. Kittle, Atwell, all the numbers are bad, but the 879 was enough to sneak by Daggy. Daggy probably wishes that this season was all a dream, but unfortunately it's not. Stafford, big number, 370. Zach Moss, 72. Jamar Chase was all right at 80. But nobody else really came through. So Diggy ends up dropping the week by about 99 points. It seems wrong. Yeah, that is right. 99 points. Thought Jake would win by 126. This one was the lock of the week too. So Jake nails it here. So the loss this week kind of shook Diggy up a little bit. So he dropped at Chase and Aaron Jones unexpectedly like bird shit off of his roster. So they make their way over to Jake's team, which I will talk about on the week 5 preview show in a little bit more detail. Next matchup here is Corey and Tank. Interesting one here that had some Monday night implications where Tank needed a 305 from Geno Smith. So we'll run through some of Corey's stuff here too. He gets an off night from Mahomes, 372, kind of got shut down by the Jets, kind of didn't need to pass a whole lot, and Pacheco went crazy. So Tank would probably like to think he can take advantage of that 272 from Mahomes, but Josh Jacobs comes through. For before the game, Devontae called Jacobs and told him that he needed to wake up because he had that 7:30 flight. And Jacob said, "Where are we going?" He said, "We're playing the Chargers today." He said, "Oh, Cali?" Yep, that's where we're going. He was ready, 167 points, big game from Jacobs. Looked really good. Ingram again, 125 this week. He's just been solid, just over 100 points every week, just enough to keep Corey moving along. So Corey puts up 1,023. Tank gets a huge game from Diggs on Sunday. The 186 there is enough that he should be rewarded with some probably like strictly sex and some leftover spaghetti. But Tank gives Gino a call on Sunday night, explains the 305 that he needs from Gino. And he says, our situation is a tight one. What you gonna do? Fight or run? Gino definitely ran, wrecked his knee, and didn't come through with the 305. So Corey gets a big win here, moves to 2-2, and Tank drops to 3-1 with the 862. Thought Tank would win this one in a tight one, but unfortunately the quarterback injury there on Monday night doesn't quite do it. So next matchup is me versus Solomon. There's the man who scored almost half of my points this week. He had a good game. So to start things out, I dropped my Detroit players. Sorry, I didn't drop them. I did not start my Detroit players this week. Turned out to be good for Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra would have been my highest scoring wide receiver this week. So I would say, aside from Ken Walker, or aside from Josh Allen, didn't have the best week. Solomon got off to a little bit of a lead there on Sunday morning with Trevor Lawrence and Ridley. Probably would have liked more of those, but Bijan and Achan said, let's stop the bullshit, baby. They put up some big points, giving Solomon a chance there. Then I go into Monday night down 85 points. So I talked to Ken Walker at the beginning of the year, and he said, hey, if there's anything going on, give me a call. We can talk about it. So he said, if there's trouble, I'll be on my way. So I gave him a call, explained we need 85 points. He said, Ken, we're just sitting here trying to win. He said, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to call the boys and bring all the guns. So he did. Maybe not all of them, so enough to get 99 points. I was a little behind when I was watching the game, so I didn't see his 31-yard scamper live. So I watched it when I was watching, kind of came up, runs 31 yards down the field, gets me the win. But I did see in the replay that I watched it a few times because it was kind of fun. I did see him mouth when he got done. It was directed at Solomon. He said, playa, turn your head round, lay on the ground. You've been robbed of a win this week. So I sneak out with another win, despite horseshit performance from the tight end and the kicker spot. Sneak out with another very tight win, moving me to 4-0, moving Solomon to a kind of scary for 1-3 spot. We'll talk about that one. There may have been some repercussions. How did win by 87? It's only 15. Moving on to the most exciting matchup of the week here, as far as points scored. There's the man, Mark Andrews, the number 4 pick in the draft, right? He is high. I don't remember. 4, sure. He does some stuff for Kevin this week. Puts up 205. The girls say he's sweet like licorice. Huge week. That's what Kevin drafted him for. That's what he's looking for. He compliments the 203 from Monty on Thursday night. It gets things going for Ross there. Ross goes with the Richardson over Lamar, which seemed like maybe a little bit of a reach, but it worked out. Richardson scored more than Lamar. We've got the 321 there. Big story here is AJ Brown just eating up a ton of the Jalen Hurts points. So Greg gets a huge game out of Hurts, what he's been looking for all year, with 418 points. Unfortunately, he's playing Kevin, who has AJ, who does the majority of the damage. Jake Elliott also says, a little offended he's not on Greg's team. He says, we don't play around. It's a bet, lay it down. 188 points for Ross. So Ross puts up the big 1354 this week. Greg gets another awesome performance out of Nico Collins. Good performance out of Brett Maher at the kicker spot. Another good JJ performance, and scores the second highest total of the week. And unfortunately, he's just playing the wrong person. So drops him to 0-4. Ross moves 2-2. And that's the end of the week. So looking at, and thought Ross would win by more than he actually did. So looking at the weekly awards here, we have high scores of the week, Josh Allen at quarterback with 458. CMC on the list for the second time this year at 264. AJ Brown with a big week of 224, and then Mark Andrews at 205, which we talked about. So the bad stuff. Geno Smith gets wrecked for a little bit, comes back, puts up 141. Javonte gets wrecked, 12. Jordan Addison just gets nothing. Pat Freiermuth got wrecked as well. Scored 17 points, but even if he played, it probably wasn't going to be a lot better than that. The Steelers are terrible. I went for the weekly awards here. I went CMC for Jake. Thought about Josh Allen, but CMC scored a ton of points for Jake, and without him there, he's probably not sneaking away with the win this week. Rodder of the week, we'll go with Jordan Addison. He scored 0. There's a few other guys that could have fit there. The no shit award for the week, I went with Khalil Herbert. I get the start from Corey that he was playing the Denver defense, which has been really, really bad at defense, but it's still, I'd say, a little bit of a putting his neck out there to start Herbert, and he came through. Wouldn't have done that. Jake left DJ Moore on the bench to start Tutu Atwell, I think, to offset some Stafford points, and to probably just doesn't like DJ Moore. DJ Moore did some big time stuff this week, and even bigger time stuff. Did some big stuff last week and even bigger time stuff tonight. So he probably won't be on the bench for much longer. Should have started him. Daggy, I'll go with Godwin there. He had a big week. Some of that was due to Evans going down. And then, as I mentioned before, Greg, second highest score of the week. That's our first time this year we've had the second highest, and it's a rough spot. Feel bad for Greg there. So, all right. So looking at the standings here, we have the Mia Khalifa division has the 3-way tie at the first for first there at the 3-1 with Sadeh, Tank, and Ryan. Sadeh and Tank are high right now due to the undefeated divisional record. Ryan's 1-1 there. Total points are interesting. Sadeh and Ryan with a bit of a lead there on Tank. Jake at 2-2, 1 game back from those guys. 1-2 in the division. Points aren't great, but obviously made the trade today to bolster that roster to mix in with those 4 guys, and be interested to see how that one shakes out. Diggy 0-4, 0-3 in the division. Point totals not fun. There's probably some guys available there if anybody's interested in Diggy's guys. In the Diane Lane division, my narrow victory moves me to 4-0, the 2-game lead over Corey and Kevin for now. We'll see how that goes. Corey, Ross looking good. Solomon 1-3, just a game back, scoring plenty of points. He's probably getting some bad matchups. And then speaking of bad matchups, Greg 0-4, 1-2 in the division there. Week 4 matchups, got some fun stuff here. Sadeh versus Tank, it's a fun one over in the Mia Khalifa division. Ryan versus Jake, also fun. Maybe less fun for Ryan now that DJ Moore scored like 300 points. Ross and Solomon, the big showdown. I've heard that the shit talking has started already. It's great. Love it. That's an important one. Solomon's got to get the win there to pull even with Kevin. Corey and Greg match up, and then me and Davey match up too. So there are the matchups for week 4. We're going to now move into the power rankings for the week to find out who's the real Dookie or who's really the shit. So we'll do these in reverse order. We're going to go from 10 to 1. 10, probably not a surprise, is this Davey. But I'll talk first a little bit about how I figure this out. So I got a few things in the mix here to come up with the power rank. So the record is part of it. It's 25% of the total weighting. Total points is 25%. Divisional record is 5%. Points against is 5%. The more points against you scored, the higher your rank would be. And then I took a look at the full rosters and then the starter values for each team, and those are each worth 20% of your total. So the rank there is 1 is bad, 10 is good, basically. So Daggy comes in at 10 with the 1.225 power rank. The record It's unfortunate. Total points, division record, points against is he's got the third least in the league. Just a bummer. Feel bad for Daggy. We texted a bit today about trades and stuff. So definitely understand where he's coming from. I was there last year. It's frustrating. So over on the right-hand side, get the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Those are the values. So quarterbacks are the second worst value in the league. Running back, wide receiver are the first worst. Those were better before today, before the trades. Tight end is fourth. And then the full in the roster, full and starters are last. So just had one message for Daggy. I'd say don't let me hold you down. Reach for the stars. Coming in at number 9. This might be a little surprising, but I definitely know that Salmon feels this a little bit. I was alerted to an incident over at the TestFi Integrated Fantasy Football Planning Headquarters of the Americas today. Incident happened earlier in the week. The staffer there sent me a video so I could verify their story. But originally their story said that the VP of the Americas kicked in the door, waving a 4-4. Then all he heard was people saying, "Solo, don't hit me no more." It didn't sound like what I think that Solomon would do. Sounded a little bit out of character. So I had to review the video, and it's not true. He did kick in the door, but there's no gun, and there's nobody yelling. He just looked dead in the eyes of his wide receiver analyst and said, "Somebody's got to die." So it's pretty serious over there. Solomon coming in 9th in the power rank is a little surprising. Overall value there's a 3.625. Kind of middle of the pack in total points, middle of the pack in points against, but the record and then the roster construction coming in 3rd worst in the league is a little surprising. So move over to the right-hand side. Running backs and tight ends are strong. The quarterbacks and wide receivers are a little bit below average. So all that nets out to 3 and a 3 in the full and the starters. So I've talked about this with Solomon a little bit. He's not happy about it. He sent a message for us and he says, "Fuck all you hoes." Number 8, Greg. So you might wonder, like, how did Greg's 0-4? How's he moving ahead of Solomon here? So the record's worse, but the points against, Greg's had a ton of points scored against him, and Greg's roster looks pretty decent. Led there by JJ and Hurts. Are definitely helping bring up the quarterback and wide receiver totals there. And that's the big, probably the big difference there. However, every time like Greg's team comes up, they step on the stage, the girls just boo too much. So they gotta stop doing that so Greg can get some wins. So I'd like to see Greg get a win, move up in the power ranks here. Next in the power ranks is Jake. Thanks to the trade today, I had to do some rework of the old power ranks for these full roster values. So Jake's middle of the pack there on the record. Points aren't the best. Divisional record is okay. Points against, he's at the fewest points in the league scored against him. And the roster construction is looking better after today. So running back is super strong. CMC is pulling the weight there. Chase added to the wide receiver mix, moved the wide receivers up quite a bit. So the full roster and the starters moved up from below average to just above average there. So I kind of think that Jake would looked at where he was at and said, "Me lose my touch? Never that." So had to make some trades, get some things going. Good trades early in the season to bolster the roster. So before I move to the next one, I'll just think of a phrase from my good friend, Too Short. Say the world is filled with pimps and hoes. I'll just talk about those I know. So Kevin, number 6 here. Pretty steady, just above average on everything here. The record of 2-2, he's got the 2 wins lately. The total points is pretty solid. Huge week this week to move him up there. Points against, people are scoring points against him. Still snuck out with the 2 wins. The roster looks okay. Andrews is a big part of that. AJ Brown's helping, and Pollard's helping there too. So, aside from that, the depth might be a little questionable, but roster's kind of middle of the pack there. So Roth comes in at 6 with the 5.25 value. Number 5 is Ryan. So interesting here. Ryan is definitely the 5.4 overall value here is driven by the record and the total points. He's in the top part of the league there on the record and total points. The division record is good, and the points against is good as well. The roster construction looks a little bit scary. So strong there at quarterback, strong at tight end with Laporta. Burrow could actually do something that quarterback value would come up even more. So those guys are the standouts, but looking at the full depth of the running backs and wide receivers, it hurts a little bit. So the full and the starters come in at 2 and 2. But if I know Ryan, he won't stand pat with this roster. He'll be on his silly with his homeboy Lance coming up with some type of trades and bolstering the roster coming down the middle of the season here. I was going to say the stretch, but we're not even in the stretch yet. Number 4, this could be a little surprising here, but so the next 3 are grouped really tightly. Number 4 is Tank. Record is good, total points not as good, division record good, points against not good, but the roster is strong throughout. So you look over on the right, quarterbacks not good, running backs surprisingly, I thought they'd be a lot higher. It's got 4, maybe 5 good running backs there, but maybe no elite guys is what's driving that down. Kelsey, monster. Wide receivers are monsters. So I thought when I was thinking through this, I thought Tank would have been higher, but we'll trust the numbers and come out to 6.875. Tank may not appreciate this and he's thinking all I got is beef with those that violate me. I shall annihilate thee. So it might be rough for all the rest of us. Today, number 3. Look at today's team and I think they're armed and dangerous. Ain't too many can't bang with us. 3-1 record. 8th for the power rank there. Total points, best in the league. Division record is good. Points against him. And the roster construction is but Herbert, Eckler, power in that quarterback running back spot there to get today some wins. The wide receiver numbers are come down a little bit. I think it's baking in some hit on Puka there for Cup coming back. Not sure I believe that, but that's what I got. Corey comes in at number 2. Overall value, a 7. His record is in the middle of the pack here. Total points is strong. Points against, he's the most points scored against him. So let's say if he had a different schedule, he may be at 4-0 here. And his roster looks really, really strong. Strong across the board. Got Mahomes, got a pretty good set of running backs. Wide receiver might be a little weak there. Depends on what happens with Evans coming back. And then Ingram's looking good. So add all that stuff up. Looks like the 3rd best roster in the league, both for the full-time guys in the starters. So it's looking good. What you gonna do with a crew that got money much longer than yours, and a team much stronger than yours? We might have some trouble with Corey down the stretch here. Coming in at 1 in the power rank is me. I think I've been pretty lucky so far. I won 2 games that were super close. I've gotten no production out of tight end so far, and been lucky. So record's good, points good, division record's good, full roster's good. I had a shitload of extra picks, so it better be. So it looks like I'm richer than Richie, but I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. There's a lot of football left, right, Corey? So if we look at all that in a little chart here, you can see the groupings. Got a decent head start on everybody there for now. Corey today, Tank, all bunched up, super tight there with the 2, 3, 4 spot. Say Ryan, Kevin, they're tight at the 5 and 6. Jake and Greg close at the 7 and 8, and then Solomon and Daggy there. So just for fun, something to throw some numbers out there, get us talking a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. So Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you over the weekend with the week 5 preview. Later.